Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're finally figuring out how suppressors work in Delta Force. There are a lot of hidden things here. You look on these suppressors and they say strong suppression, weak suppression. Like, I don't know what that means, but now we do, and I'm here to share it with you in this video. Most of this information will pertain to the Havoc Warfare side of Delta Force, but it should also be fairly relevant for the operations side of things, even though there is a bit of a tab of information in the operations mode whenever you click on a suppressor. It does tell you a little bit about it, but I'm just gonna simply tell you what I found out anyway. So without further ado, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's discuss whether or not suppressors are absolutely worthless. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into the video and discuss whether or not suppressors are actually worth using. Now, it's worth pointing out at the beginning of the video that there's this lovely character in the game called Luna that shoots an arrow into the sky that wallhack spots you through the entire map. So, if you're trying to be stealthy, at least in today's meta, that's not really gonna be the best play strategy in my opinion, unfortunately, and Luna does really invalidate suppressor play styles, at least right now. However, the suppressor information is still very valuable and useful if you're not wallhack spotted by Luna, which is, albeit rare, but it's still very useful. So, we're gonna come in here. We're going to go over what this means first. Reduce minimap visibility when firing strong. And then if you look at another suppressor here, such as the M7 Practical, it says weak. But, you know, it says the same thing. Reduce the minimap visibility when firing. There is no actual description as to what strong or weak means. But I did test it. I had my viewers Q-snipe me, and they had to get on the enemy team, and we tested it. We were shooting all sorts of weapons. We used rangefinder scopes, like this one here, to mark the distance, to test, you know, how far away people were, so we can guess the distances of the suppressors, and we found out some valuable information. So as you can see, this suppressor is the Resonant Sniper Rifle Suppressor. It is strong. Any suppressor that says, you know, weak, strong, they're the same, okay? So there is no difference between two different suppressors that say strong and two different suppressors that say weak. They should work the same way, at least that is what I found in my testing, okay? They might vary in, like, statistics, right? For instance, if you take a look here, this one has an added bonus, single fire control and stability, where this one does not, right? But the suppression should not differ. If you're using a strong suppressor, anyone that is standing 19 meters or closer can see you firing on the minimap, okay? And they can hear you, but you're pretty quiet, especially compared to the weak suppressor. It does affect audio as well, but it's all relative because you're not really going to be able to hear someone shooting very well or differentiate between people if there's a bunch of chaos going on around you anyway. So, funnily enough, the audible part of using a suppressor, in my opinion, only matters when there isn't a lot going on around you. But for the strong suppressor, if they're 19 meters and closer, you are appearing on the minimap. If you are 20 meters and farther, they cannot see you firing on the minimap. So if someone is farther away than 19.9 meters and you shoot at them, you are not appearing on the minimap, okay? Now, if I switch over to, say, let's find a weak suppressor build. You know, what do I use? The SMG-45 build I use has a weak suppressor. If we use this, and as you can see, the SMG Echo Suppressor is classified as weak. We tested this as well. If someone is within 39 meters, you are appearing on the minimap using a weak suppressor. Anything past 40 meters, you are not appearing on the minimap, okay? So it's basically just half the suppression, or like you could say it's twice as worse as the strong suppressor. So that is how that functions between strong and weak. Now, how to determine whether or not using a suppressor is viable, or whether or not it's good? First of all, funnily enough, in Warfare, this differs from Operations, I think. Because in Warfare, like I mentioned, you're constantly spotted by Luna wallhack, and a lot of the times, you're not going to be using a suppressor for the suppressive abilities. You're going to be using a suppressor for stats, right? In this case, range and muzzle velocity. Muzzle velocity being probably the most important thing. Range, it only really gains you like 2 or 3 meters of damage distance, if we see here. If I wasn't using a suppressor, this damage distance would be pushed back like, you know, to here, to 25 meters. But because I'm using a suppressor, it extends it. Other than that, you're pretty much just using suppressor for statistics, like control, you know, gunshot suppression, all that sort of thing. And then most importantly, muzzle velocity. Like if I hover over, let's say this, then take a look at the muzzle velocity, 564 meters per second compared to using this 642 meters per second, which is a gigantic statistic. It's a gigantic distance. You can feel it in the game. You can really tell that, oh, this guy's easier to hit. And of course, it reduces recoil and everything like that. In terms of how you determine like whether or not it's useful in a build, I would say most of the time, if you're going to be using something that's long range, like this, for instance, like an M700, you're going to want to max out your muzzle velocity. I think on this build, I got it all the way up to, let's see, 985 meters per second. There are some weapons in the game, like the AWM, which I'll just build for you right here, I guess. There are some weapons in the game where if you use the correct things, like if you calibrate this, firing stability, muzzle velocity, and then you slap on a suppressor, you can get, like look at this, 1,308 meters per second. Okay, so for long range weapons, I would say generally speaking, you're going to want to be using suppressors because it makes it so simple to hit your targets. And this is also applicable to DMRs. Like if we take a look at my new SR25 build, which, hey, hint, hint, subscribe to the channel if you want a weapon guide that goes over every single marksman rifle in the entire game. That's maybe coming soon, guys. I don't know. But if we take a look at this SR25 build here, it's a DMR, but it has almost 1,000 meters of muzzle velocity. I mean, as you can see there, you can barely see the bullet traveling because it's moving so fast. And obviously this makes it really, really hard to miss. Now, are suppressors worth it, in my opinion? Well, that's kind of funny. The question of are suppressors worth it in this game is sort of mode dependent. If you're playing operations, I would say suppressors are probably more of a viable option, but if you're playing warfare, I mean, they're okay. As I mentioned previously, in Warfare, you're going to be constantly spotted by Luna Wallhack Arrow. They're adding thermal sights to the game anyway, which can potentially see through smoke. I made a video covering that a couple days ago. Hopefully that video is completely wrong. I'm actually begging for my video to be wrong about that. But ultimately, you're going to be using suppressors in Havoc Warfare for the statistics, the muzzle velocity, the control. Some suppressors actually have specific directional recoil control, like I believe the AK, I think it's called PBS suppressor, has horizontal recoil control, and you can make some pretty good builds with that. So ultimately, in operations, they're probably more useful. In Havoc Warfare, they're definitely going to be more on the statistics side of just making weapon builds that are extremely effective. Unfortunately, the way things stand right now, the actual suppressive aspects of these suppressors are not that effective and are easily countered just by shooting an arrow into the sky. So hopefully this video was informative, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button and, of course, subscribe to the channel. I stream every single day at twitch.tv/enders. If you didn't know, I'm going to be playing in a $40,000 Delta Force Havoc Warfare community tournament on January 10th, and unfortunately the games are taking place pretty late at night, 9 p.m. EST, but if you're up and you want to watch that, I will be streaming it on January 10th, and we'll be having a late night tournament for big money. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.